Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
If you're looking to streamline your audio advertising buys and maximize your revenue, look no further than Triton Digital's programmatic audio advertising exchange, A2X. The private exchange consists of only licensed broadcasters and top-tier internet radio publishers, assuring the quality inventory and brand safety you can trust. Visit www.tritondigital.com to learn more.
The votes are in. America's favorite beverage? Bottled water. What was once a symbol of European snobbery is now ironically as ubiquitous as indoor plumbing. While the grab-and-go convenience of H2O is good for the body, there's no denying it's bad for the planet, with 90% of plastic bottles ending up in landfills and taking around 1,000 years to biodegrade. One company set out to disrupt the plastic water bottle landscape. How did they do that? With punk rock roots, cheeky branding, and a mission: murder your thirst. And with a valuation of $1.4 billion, they are doing just that. And the planet is better for it. And that's why this week's On Brand is on liquid death.
We're all jazzed up, really having a cow. You want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on Brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. I'm Jon.
I'm Marisa.
Marisa, hi, I'm back. I've been gone for a week.
Something is looking a little bit more astronomical of you, a little more metaphysical.
My big round moon head. Is that my 25-inch? For everyone who doesn't know me, I have a 25-inch head. And I remember...
In case you'd like to send Jon a hat.
If you want to send me a custom-made hat. I remember years ago I was working in a place and I told one of my bosses that. I was like, my head is 25 inches. And she was like, wow, that's the same size as my waist. And I was like, cool. Why don't we get down to work?
Who's your boss? Kristen Chenoweth?
She was a thin, beautiful woman. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. I get Is she going to come after me? HR, can they still do anything?
Retroactively, you're fired.
So listen, I know for the last couple of episodes, I have talked about the eclipse. I'm going to see the eclipse. I'm going to see the eclipse. I saw the eclipse.
Wow.
I didn't buy my flight until Friday, 3 days before the eclipse. I wanted to make sure that I was going somewhere that I thought I had the best chance of weather. I had been considering going to Austin or Dallas. I have a good friend, Jen, who lives in Austin, and a place to stay, but it kept saying like rain, rain, rain. Dayton in Ohio was in totality, and that's like 30, 40 minutes from my family, and it constantly had the cloud symbol with a little bit of sun, and I was like, well, I mean, a little bit of sun is probably the best I'm going to be able to do, so I pulled the trigger, bought the ticket, flew in on Sunday and Monday morning. I got up Monday morning thinking, like, Ohio's going to be shut down for this eclipse. Like, some schools were closed. Like, it was being talked about, but I was like, I set my alarm. The eclipse, mind you, totality is at 3 something.
Okay.
I set my alarm for 6:40 in the morning. I was like, the freeway?
You thought you would accidentally sleep in till 3 p.m.?
No.
Okay.
No, I had to get to Dayton. And all I've heard about eclipses, people that have gone in the past, is like how bad traffic is. Everyone's going to the same places. When you leave, you're pack 4 meals. You're going to be in your car for 6 hours trying to get out of there.
Roads closed, yes.
So I'm like, I got to be on the road by like 7:30. I like opened my maps thinking it was just going to be red veins all over Apple Maps. It was like clear as day. I was like, must be broken because of the eclipse. I'm sure the traffic is out there. I hit the road at like 8 o'clock. I'm in Dayton by like 8:35. I'm like one of the first people to arrive. I go to it's called the National Museum of the Air Force. So like the Air Force.
I wonder if we have anybody listening in Dayton.
I would not be surprised.
Okay, give us a shout out.
We have a lot of Cincinnati listeners. And this place is enormous. When I say enormous, like Ohio, we live in LA, so like getting like a small plot of land, you're like, wow, I have a yard. The yard for this Air Force Museum is like 7 miles. Like, I mean, you drive down 19 city blocks and it's just, you finally get to where they pull in. I was the first batch of like 10 cars in.
Oh my God.
So like.
Who are the other 9 people there?
You know what? They were lovely. Because I ended
sure.
up talking to a lot of them. We've all got the human spirit in our soul and we're about to experience something
How many
very
times
special.
did you weep on Eclipse Day?
Okay, I did not full on cry. I will admit, at the moment of totality, it was the exact same as the moment Adele started singing in Las Vegas. I got choked up. And I don't know if it's because I've looked forward to it for so long.
Yeah.
Adele and the Eclipse are equal in my eyes of how rare and special they are.
They're both equally important to the function of Earth.
Right. They both cost me about $1,000 to see.
I think it's every time you do something that costs $1,000, you might get a little choked up at the moment it's happening.
I picture my bank book depleting.
Your
My
bank book.
I'm nervous. So
You paid for this trip by check.
yeah. So they park me, and I'm like, so where do we go? And they're like, oh, you're going to want to head towards those tents. And it's like, you couldn't even see the tents. Like,
my
they
God.
were so far away. And my sister is so sweet. My sister Allison gave me like a lawn chair and a blanket and water and sunscreen and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't want to carry all that stuff. It seems so far. Maybe I'll go check it out and come back. I had hours to kill, mind you.
I mean, yeah, you got there at 8:35. The eclipse is at 3. So
Yeah.
you're supposed to be sitting in this lawn chair. What are you there that early for? To like get your spot?
Just in case, like because you just don't know how it's going to be. Like the
Wow.
event is so important. You're just like, I'm going to prepare myself for success.
It's not something though, like there's a stage where you can get like, if you get there early, you'll be closer to it.
No.
Everybody is the same distance away. Just go like this.
Yeah, you just go like this. And some people were of that mindset. They're like, we're just going to stay at our cars and watch it. But I wanted
Yeah.
to, you know me, flash mobs, human spirit. I want to be around like this like-mindedness.
Yeah.
But again, I had hours. So I got back in my car. I relaxed. I started eating my lunch at like, like 9 in the morning. And I had pepperonis and cheese.
That was your lunch, pepperonis and cheese?
Yeah.
And you stayed on site. You didn't say like, you know what, I'm here pretty early. I'm going to go find a mall or a shopping center. I'm going to
No.
go grab something to eat.
No, because we were because we were first in, we were in the first row of people to be able to like leave. So I like didn't want to lose that spot.
That makes sense.
But I ended up walking there. It took me so long to walk there, and I just never went back to my car. There was so much to see. The museum is insane.
Good thing you fueled up on that pepperoni.
Yeah, I
had
fueled up
protein
on
power.
the Roni and the Baby Bell. But this museum, if you have not been to the Air Force Museum, it's like I've talked about the Ford Museum and just how massive it is. Same thing here, but all planes.
Wow.
Like I'll show you a picture. We'll put it on Instagram. This thing has it's like 4 hangars of, I don't know, 500 planes. You just walk in, you're just in rooms of planes, little planes, big planes, hanging on the wall, on the thing. You can go in them. I went into like an Air Force One thing. Like you're just planes.
Are you a plane boy?
Not at all. Not at all. But there is something very cool about it. And they have little mannequins loading up a missile and doing all these things.
We saw Top Gun together and we liked it.
And I dragged my feet. I was like, oh, we're going to Top Gun. But then I was like, woo, boy, that was fun. Tom Cruise, listen, say what you want about him. The guy knows how to make a movie.
We're very pro Tom
We're big
Cruise
fans
around
of him.
here.
So the eclipse, it's like, I didn't know what to expect, and I've seen partial eclipses before, and anyone that's seen a partial eclipse, you just haven't seen an eclipse. Like, if you're just like,
Wow.
I
Rude.
know.
Me
I'm
down
sorry.
at the elementary school with the colander, looking at the little crescent shadows. You're saying you kids haven't seen shit.
Yeah, you haven't seen. I'm gonna have partial eclipsers come to my house, beating their fist. Would you say totality? No, but seriously, even if you're in 99%, which God loves Cincinnati. Cincinnati was directly on the border of the eclipse. My dad, 99.9%. Didn't drive the 3 miles to be in totality. I flew 1,900 miles and drove 40 minutes and sat for 8 hours to see totality.
Got to get that extra 1%.
Yeah, half the family's in totality, half of it's not. They were so close to the edge, though. Like, one of the places had 37 seconds totality.
I feel like they're getting the gist.
once you're in totality, you never want to be out of totality.
I get it, yeah. That's your new normal.
That's my new normal. 360-degree sunsets, crickets chirping at 3 in the afternoon.
Crickets, really? You got crickets?
I didn't hear them, but I heard people did at other places.
In
I was so
theory.
like when it happened, I told you it hits totality. I get choked up. I start taking a couple iPhone pictures. They look so bad. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to stare at this thing for 3 minutes. Like, so many people are going to take better pictures than I'm going to.
Can I ask, do people go like, woo?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. There was definitely people there that were like, woo!
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
People are like, ow! People are crying. A lot of like, oh my gods. A lot of like, everything, every
Wow.
emotion. Because some people chase these, like they've seen it 10 times. Some people, they're seeing it for the first time.
Wow. Get a life.
No, I'm not giving you this one. You can have that on Converse. You get a life because you haven't been in totality because you're
That's
a partial pal.
I'm a partial
You're
pal.
partial
I don't
Patty.
even know.
You've never been in totality. That's my kid's book.
Totality Terry.
Yeah, I'm totality Terry. No, but seriously, you have to be in the 100%. It's magical. If you have never seen it, if you ever have an opportunity, I highly suggest it. And the coolest thing is, like, it was over, and like they had blown up like 4 hot air balloons and just had them in like glow, so they
That's
weren't
cool.
like up, but they were just lit, and it was beautiful. And we were done. Like, I went alone because I didn't expect anyone else to want to spend 8 hours doing this. So like, and I talk to people. I ramble like I'm rambling now, but like I'll talk to anyone when I'm out. And like, it was over, and these like 4 like, I don't know, 20-year-olds were behind me, and I turned around. They were so excited. I was like, that was so cool. And they're like, I know. And this guy was like, I think when I was taking pictures of the eclipse, I took a really cool picture of you. And I was like, you did? And he like showed me this picture, and it's like, it's the coolest picture. I've got like my hands in the air. I think you put it on our Insta story for a minute, but it was just so fun. It looked like a picture that should be in the next day's paper for the eclipse. Like,
it looks like you're worshiping the sun god.
I know. Some people are like, this would be perfect for your cult. But yeah, I'm so glad I did it. Alistair had highly encouraged me to go, because
he's a totality Terry too.
we're both totality Terrys, and you're a partial Patty
I'm
for life.
outnumbered. Wow.
Yeah. So that was my experience. How were the shadows on the sidewalk?
The shadows were pretty darn cool.
They are. The shadows are cool. I took a lot of video in like October when we had that eclipse.
The partial, yeah.
That was
yeah,
really
it was very
neat.
fun. I'm so glad you had fun. And this is a wonderful recommendation to anybody who has a chance to travel to see a total eclipse.
And you would think that the eclipse was the highlight of that day, but when I was in that museum, I didn't tell you. 2 press penny machines, so I added to my collection. I think I got 3 press pennies there. Ended up getting another 4 in Ohio. I came back from that trip with more knowledge of our solar system and 7 new press pennies.
Those go straight in the book.
Yeah, those will go straight
that's
in the
wonderful.
binder. Yeah, so it's been a
Riches
lot.
all around. What a busy week. Yeah, it's been so long since I seen you. I'm so grateful to get the whole update. Speaking of since I last saw you, we have a little some bits and bobs to follow up with our Dyson episode.
Oh.
So this is like in a magazine like AARP, how like
God, why is that your only source of reading material?
it's always on the tip of the dome. I read it more than any other publication.
Tip of the dome.
It's always on the tip of the
Who
dome.
are you? Are you like a freestyle rapper?
So, in a magazine like AARP, after an issue, somebody will follow up and they'll say like, oh, I love this issue. And then they'll maybe like fill in a little bit more extra detail. So we talked about Dyson 2 episodes ago, and we mentioned that our producer, Alistair, we call him Alpal. That might slip out once in a while. Alpal, his daddy went to school with James Dyson.
Daddy?
And his daddy followed up.
Well, quit saying daddy. And Al's dad.
Alistair's father
Good.
followed up to say that we should also highlight an important part of Dyson's history. So he loved the episode, but he wanted us to make sure we mention these couple things. So one thing to highlight is Dyson's recognition of the school providing a bursary that allowed him to stay on at Gresham's after his father's death. So as we mentioned, after his father, who was a teacher at Gresham's, passed away, Dyson and his brother were allowed to stay at the school for free. So Dyson contributed to the school to say thank you. Over $18 million STEAM building that opened in 2022. And the donation was to reflect the gratitude that Sir James Dyson has for the school, who gave him the support when he was a pupil at the school in 1956 after his father died of throat and lung cancer. So this is a beautiful carrying on, paying it back. How generous they were with him.
You had to bring up that there was like a cancer involved. I was like sitting on the edge of my seat waiting to make a joke that all the money had to go to like suction labs. I'm giving you $18 million to learn how to suck
They're
even
great.
better.
They're like, great. So that's like books, pencils.
No. Just a bunch of suction tubes or whatever we need.
So far, we can suck well, but you can always suck better.
There's your movie.
He donated $35 million in 2023, and he was just so grateful. He said when he was 11, his brother was 9. They had just started at Gresham's, and there was no life insurance. So the headmaster said that him and his brother could board and stay there for free of charge. Without that, my education here would not have been possible, and the school brought me up. It is great now to be able to give something back to the school. So that's our little bits and bobs, like AARP magazine, as I said.
I love that. You know, that kind of
a little follow-up.
That makes me think, I do feel like a lot of times after we do an episode, we'll hear from brand freaks and stuff who are like, oh, I went and tried the thing you said, or I have this connection with it. Maybe we'll do a little bits and bobs whenever that's appropriate and touch on a couple of things from the last show. Or maybe if we forgot a fact or something that we wanted. I'm always like, oh, I should have said this.
The closer we get to AARP magazine, the happier I am.
Babe, I'm on my way. I love that you get it and I don't.
You can get it as soon as you turn 18. I'm telling everybody this. And then you can get a discount for Consumer Cellular. It's not just a cell phone company for old people. Anybody can have it, and the rates are quite competitive.
You're not even getting paid to say that. That's what's so great about it.
The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.
So we're talking about Liquid Death. You said right as we took a little break after you learned the episode that you just recently saw this brand and you thought it was beer.
I saw it on TikTok today with that skeleton and whatever it is, and I was like, I thought it was an alcohol. Then you've given me 2 frosty cold cans of Liquid Death, and then of course, because I'm a negative Nelly, I was like, first I was like, ooh, free. I love it when we have samples. Then I was like, is it just essence? Because I hate water that's just an essence.
Yeah. So what you have in front of you is you have one of their new. It's like a flavored iced tea. So you have a Rest in Peach. This is an iced tea, and they're sweetened with agave. So they're not sweetened with cane sugar or with artificial sweetener. They're lightly sweetened with agave. And then what's the other one you have in front of you? The flavor?
Convicted melon.
Convicted melon. So this is a fan favorite flavor, convicted melon. And this is lightly flavored melon. I'm going to crack this open and sip on this throughout the show. And then we can, comment as we see fit.
Which one are you tasting?
I've tasted the melon before, so I'm just having the peach.
All right, I'll try the peach as well.
So before we talk about Liquid Death, we have to talk about how we got here. Bottled water.
Oh, my God. What a tale that is. Let's jump back to when? 1983. And someone's like, what can we make money on that we're not?
That's essentially free.
Yeah, that's essentially free.
What's your first memory? We'll go here. What's your first memory of bottled water? Obviously, this wasn't around when you or I were children.
No.
Do you remember when bottled water hit the scene for you?
I mean, I don't know if it's accurate. What I feel like my first memory is like Evian, because like I feel like people were like making fun of it, like it's so fancy. I feel like people were really selling, the companies and brands were really selling when it came from like a natural source. Like we've traveled the world and sit on this cliff and gather the droplets of this spring water. It seemed when it first hit the scene, it was kind of for upper class, maybe because I was kind of like
That's totally right.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
we'll dig into that too.
Kind
That's
of for
totally
rich
right.
people. Yeah, and I guess that's it. It kind of came in. I feel like it came in the 80s. Maybe it's one of those things, actually. It started in 1954, but it didn't get big until the 80s.
Do you have a bottled water preference? Like, are you brand loyal about bottled water?
I'm brand loyal in the sense that I despise purified water. I only like a spring water.
Interesting.
I'm a Brita boy, so I filter my own water for the most part. I don't like, because of the plastics, I don't like using plastic bottles a lot. I do feel like Evian is a softer water. I don't even know if that's still like people still get Evian. I like Fiji because I really like the square bottle of the Fiji.
I love that square bottle, and I love that
the
optical illusion
yes!
on the picture.
I love that picture in the back of it.
Brilliant.
If I had to pick, like if I had like a writer out, hopefully in the next couple of years, when we're touring on brand with Jon and Marisa in 16 cities, hopefully.
At Madison Square Garden.
At Madison Square Garden Cafe down the street. I would probably pick Fiji as my water of choice. I used to get Trader Joe's water just because you get 12 big bottles and it was cheap.
Yeah, I'm not really brand loyal either. I think if I'm at the airport and I have my options and I need to get water, I'm going for a smart water. At home, I do have a filter, but
I feel like I'm smart enough, so I've never like felt like I needed to like rely on a liquid for my intelligence. But I get I kind of see both of our sides.
That makes one of us.
I will
That
say,
makes
if
one of
there's
us.
only one water choice and it's purified water, to me, that's as sad as being in a Pepsi only establishment.
I see.
I'd rather go without.
You want to know the worst water? Nestle.
I don't know why. Is that the worst? Is it the worst? It's just
Feels
bad.
disgusting.
That's how I feel about Aquafina.
Aquafina, and we'll talk about that. Aquafina and Dasani. Where the
Dasani, that's the other one. I was trying to
soda
think. I think
giant
Dasani, that might be a Coke product, but I think it is. Yeah, all those are trash. No offense
They're
to
trash.
all of our loyal listeners that enjoy a nice purified poop water. I think that's what I think it is. I think it's like toilet water that they've just strained.
I think that's essentially what your Brita filter is doing, is straining out the poo-poo.
You have no idea because I change that filter like every 6 years. So it's like I'm just drinking tap water, but I just pretend that I'm drinking filtered water.
Is there like an octopus in the bottom of your filter?
Oh, can I tell you something gross? I won't call out who. I used to not drink much water. I was such a soda boy. I drink a ton of water now, probably more water than I do soda. And I just refill like my thermos igloo thing. My friend told me that he does that too, but he like wasn't great about washing it out. And he said he looked in it one day and there was algae in it, like straight up green algae.
I feel like I've definitely had that happen with a Brita where it like starts to turn into a microbiome. It's like a fish tank.
God, I don't think I have done that. Because, of course, I've spent the money on, like, a canteen brush. I found a reason to buy something.
That feels like a TJ Maxx, like, clearance, like a canteen brush.
No, this was like a swell.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
She.
a she.
So bottled water, it just as an idea, bottled water has been around for centuries, but its purpose was much different. So in the 1600s, early as the 1600s, water from the Holy Well in the United Kingdom, as well as like mineral springs across Europe and the US, they would be believed to have healing and therapeutic effects. So bathing in this like special water or drinking it was believed to cure disease. And bottled water was sold as medicinal remedies at pharmacies. So this wasn't something people drank for hydration. They drank it to like, cure disease.
I love that back in those times, there were so many diseases and lifespan was so short that they were hoping anything would cure them of a disease. Like, bird poop, that'll cure you of this disease.
It also felt like you were allowed to lie.
Yeah.
You could say anything.
100%. This will cure you. It doesn't matter. You're going to be dead at 22 anyway.
What are you going to do? Sue me from the grave?
Yeah.
So then in the mid 1800s, the price of glass had gone down and production is booming, factories are running, and the public is highly fearful of cholera and typhoid in public drinking water. So this leads to millions of bottles of water being sold annually in the US in glass bottles. In 1905, an English doctor ends the typhoid epidemic with chlorination. So this kills dangerous bacteria in water, as well as killing the demand for purified water in bottles. So really the reason people were drinking water from bottles was because in their mind, it didn't have cholera in it. So then once that fear went away, there was no reason to keep paying to drink water out of bottles, obviously.
Right.
And then in the early 1970s, so municipal drinking water is safe, bottled water sales are so slow, they're about 1.5 gallons per person per year. So that much of that is like the 5-gallon jugs in office water coolers, or the rest of the market is like niche specialty mineral waters that are kind of like very fancy and reserved for like a certain class. So it's not really like mainstream yet. It's really like doctor's office big jug of water.
Right.
1978.
Here we go.
This is the moment in history that will turn the planet to ruin. The official beginning of the modern bottled water industry. Polyethylene terephthalate bottles are patented, PET plastic bottles. They are the first plastic bottles that can contain the pressure of carbonation. So mineral water is naturally like effervescent, carbonated, thus creating a much cheaper alternative to bottling than was possible with glass. So now fancy sparkling mineral water that was naturally carbonated, they had to be in glass bottles. It was still pretty expensive. So now we have carbonated water, Perrier, launching in the US. Now they're dirt cheap to produce with a massive ad campaign. So for some reason, I didn't know that the bottled water revolution began with Perrier or like the fancy sparkling water. But this was the year they launched in the US. They had a massive ad campaign. It was very effective. They were selling the idea that bottled water is an affordable way to have some European sophistication. And drinking water from a bottle becomes a status symbol. Perrier is acquired by Nestle. They're very profitable. Studies are coming out that artificial sweeteners in diet soda, saccharin, could cause cancer. Also culturally, so this is the 70s, late 70s. Baby boomers are growing up. They're shedding their hippie ways, and they're ready to get healthy. So this is when we're seeing jazzercise. We're seeing the jogging boom. We're seeing businessmen. They're not having like their 60s Mad Men martini lunches anymore. Now they're like drinking fancy bottled water. So it's interesting how this like times up with like where culture is at.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect nexus of like everybody's ready for this like big movement towards like being healthy, just in the perfect time for this product to hit the scene.
And it's the whole 80s becomes the whole decade of consumerism. Like everyone's just spending money, status symbols.
Exactly.
You want to have more than your next door neighbor. You want to
Exactly.
be the cool one on the block.
Glorifying the wealth and like super consumerism. This is exactly right. It's also the time where people are kind of starting to poke fun at the idea of buying bottled water. So this was like,
Right.
as this is going, as it's getting more and more famous, more and more popular, more and more ubiquitous, 1998, so we're jumping ahead, but this is kind of happening gradually. A New York Times piece calls out laughable prices for something that could be gotten out of a faucet. So this was really so unheard of for so long that people are like, you're being scammed. Like, wake up. Like, why are you paying money for something that you can get for free?
You know what's funny? Can I throw in a bits and bob about Dr. Bronner's, a part of the story I didn't go into?
Yeah.
Once they started putting fluoride in municipal water, he was so against that. So he was always fighting that. He thought that was like communist and like that it was the worst thing you should do. You should only get fluoride through like your dentist and stuff. And he was so opposed to that.
Wow.
And I didn't know that it was like such a heated thing. And I remember when I finally started like, in the 90s or whenever drinking bottled water, people are like, sometimes city water is actually better than bottled water because they put fluoride in it and they clean it and it's filtered and it's great.
Yeah.
But we've kind of been trained by branding and consumerism that it's better if we buy it.
Exactly. And that was a concern, is that like the fluoride was added to water to like improve oral hygiene and oral health, teeth health. And then the concern was like people are not getting those minerals because they're stripping all the natural minerals that have some health benefits out of water to improve the taste and have this like status symbol. So other brands, we'll say the big two, Coke and Pepsi, they had been not wanting to get into the water game. They thought it was kind of like temporary. It was just kind of like a little flash in the pan.
I can't imagine a company like that, companies like that have such large portfolios,
Yeah.
not wanting to get into what seems like one of the easiest products to make.
Right. And this is 1994. They held out for decades before getting in.
What got them into it? Was there some hot brand? Like I remember there was like that, I think it was that Smart Water, or there was like, maybe that was 2000.
It was 3 years before Titanic. Do you think it was a good time to tie in ocean-wise?
Oh my God. There was ever a time to pedal water. 1997.
Water is so powerful, it could take down the unsinkable ship. Imagine what it could do for you.
Take down your unsinkable
Thirst.
with our new water. Each bottle contains a remnant of the Titanic.
So they thought selling water would cut into their soda market. They were like, soda's not going anywhere. People love soda. They're not believing that water's going to stick around. Water, however, is growing 30% year over year, far outpacing soda. So they reluctantly, like, okay, fine. Pepsi creates Aquafina. Coca-Cola creates Dasani a couple years later in 1999. And then part of me was like, wait, are we going to want to do a whole episode on Dasani? Like, that's a brand. And then I'm like, no, that's literally the entire history. Coke wanted to make a water brand. They made Dasani. It's a fake word to sound healthy.
Right. We could have done a Water Wars, and done Dasani versus Aquafina.
Maybe we'll do a blind taste test another time in a mini-sode. But that's like the history. It's just they were like, we need to compete. So Aquafina, Dasani, there you go.
I love that they both create the crappiest water. It's like neither one of those are going to be the ones you're picking.
Yeah, it's not like they have like a really strong, like, when you think of Fiji, it really says something. Or like Smart Water, it feels like there's a brand connected to it. Dasani and Aquafina are so like just nothing.
Yeah. For me, the reason that I don't like Dasani or Aquafina is because I feel like you can taste it. Like, it tastes filtered. And it could be a mindset. I don't think it is. And maybe we should do a taste test to see if I'm a Hunt's boy again or what. But
find out you're a Dasani dude?
I feel I'm a Dasani dude. But yeah, to me, it's a taste thing. Like, I feel like it tastes lower grade. It doesn't taste as fresh and crisp to me.
That's what was coming out, is that these waters, they were just the local municipal tap waters just filtered. So like the imagery was, the Alps and the snow-capped mountains and the rivers, but it really was just your local water, and it was filtered and then just kind of branded. And in the mid-1990s was also when the bottled water industry began promoting that chronic lack of hydration, that you had to drink 8 glasses of water a day for optimum health. And this is not an idea that scholars really think is like true.
This isn't science-based.
This isn't science-based, and some people need more water or less water depending on your activity, but they kind of created this kind of mass hypnosis that we all needed 8 glasses of water a day to be healthy.
That reminds me of the whole Got Milk campaign, too,
yes.
because I don't think that we need to have cow's milk, but man, oh man, did they really make a great campaign that was like, I gotta get that mustache as fast as I can.
Right. If I see Michael Jordan with a milk mustache,
send me to the dairy.
Sucking on that teat.
Yeah.
So now the big players are in the game. There's a ton of skepticism. There's judgment. Are people being swindled? Like I said, they use kind of false imagery on their bottles. They'll have like a snowy mountain on the bottle, and the water's coming from like Orange County or Texas. So It's like they're basically lying to you. The news is trying to crack into this swindle and attempts to enlighten the public that these exotic seeming waters are just from your local water supply. And in 2006, this Corporate Accountability International launched a campaign called Think Outside the Bottle to prove that customers can't tell the difference between tap and bottled water. So they did like market research that showed that many customers buy bottled water because they don't like the taste of their tap water. And then they did these experiments, do people prefer the taste of bottle or tap? In a lot of cases, people prefer the taste of tap water. But if you've had enough bottled water, you've had it for long enough, you have repeated exposure, that will be your baseline for good tasting water. So whatever you have the most of is what you will want. So if you switch over to bottled water, it's hard to go back to tap water because it tastes different. They use hyperfiltration, UV light, reverse osmosis. They strip out the chlorine and minerals. Then to make it palatable, they add in a proprietary mineral blends known colloquially in the water industry as pixie dust. And this trains people to expect a generic taste from drinking water. And once trained, these preferences are very difficult to reverse. It says, however, in blind taste tests, the tap water in many cities frequently wins out over bottled water, suggesting that the role of branding and packaging may play in perceptions of taste. Isn't that what we're all about? The perception, the feeling you get. When I'm holding a bottle of Nestle water, I feel like garbage. I feel lower than low. I'm scum.
I don't feel like I come across Nestle water that much. I'm
There's
glad.
a reason.
It
the circles you travel
awful.
in.
Yeah. I don't want that.
So in their view, this is called manufactured demand. So you instill fear in the customer about the purity of their tap water, and then you sell them an unnecessary product by seducing them with images on the water, that gorgeous grotto on the Fiji bottle that we would die to bathe in.
Well, that really is from Fiji, right, though? That's not from, don't tell me that's from Dayton, Ohio.
We'll save it for the Fiji episode. But it becomes on people's radar, the environmental impact of manufacturing these bottles, and then the billions that end up in landfills every year. And so now people are kind of stuck in this place where it's I've been told that water is good for me. Now I'm being told that bottled water is bad. In a matter of 10 years, I don't know what to do. I can't drink my tap water. Now it tastes disgusting.
Oh, this is exhausting. This is why I'm a Brita boy. So wait, you're telling me that we've been manipulated by large corporations to buy stuff that we don't need? Wow. Episode 48, and we're finally getting to the
This
truth.
Is the first time it's been true. Every other time we were acting on our own volition. Every fillet of fish was because you needed it.
Because I needed that. My body was telling me what I needed, and it was fried fish and tartar sauce.
Tartar sauce.
Oh my God. This is like an expose.
We are groundbreaking journalists. I might win a Pulitzer. So bottled water is now the most consumed beverage with 25% of the market. So it's outpaced soda. Now soda is not the most consumed beverage. It's bottled water. 1 million plastic bottles.
Don't say a second.
Okay, no,
don't say a second.
Okay.
Don't say a second.
One a minute. 1 million every minute. And the worrying fact, the number will grow further 20% every year. 90%, as I mentioned, they're not able to be recycled. Recycling is no longer profitable. So Now experts are saying just throw them in the landfills. It's just it feels so bleak recycling.
We've
but
just given up.
We've given up.
You know, a fact I heard once that really stuck with me, there was like a picture of Earth, and it was something like every piece of plastic that's ever been made is in this picture still. Like
That's
nothing
true.
is gone, has reached a point where it's disintegrated or gone yet.
The straw you used on your McDonald's milkshake when you were 5 years old is still somewhere.
True. And you know what it made me think of?
What?
When we moved when I was a kid, C-3PO came with me, R2-D2 got lost. I was like, he's out there somewhere. If I look hard enough, I can find him.
He technically still exists.
He technically still exists.
He has yet to rot.
If anyone finds a small 12-inch R2-D2 with Death Star plans in the back, I'm looking for it.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. During the move, it's a long story, but a lot of stuff got thrown away. I don't want to talk about it. It was very sad.
I see you taking that pretty hard. How old were you?
Well, I mean, I had started college.
I thought you would be like 7.
But it was from when I was 7.
I know.
I had left stuff in the house. It was like your childhood memories all got tossed.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Don't me.
Okay.
There's people out there that can relate. Oh, I still do miss them.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. Don't you wish he was just in your storage unit, locked up all safe?
Okay, we're not doing this. I do.
I bet you do. So it's that sad. The facts about plastic are sad, right? It's undeniable. But there is something interesting. So aluminum products, all the aluminum produced since 1888, over 75% of it is still in current use.
I love aluminum.
Isn't that wild?
I believe it, man. Aluminum. Is there anything better than aluminum?
Is there anything better than aluminum?
Is there anything better than aluminum? I love it.
I don't know.
I love like a cold aluminum can. I do. I love aluminum.
I love aluminum.
I am John Glover, and I love aluminum.
I'm going to make you a shirt. This is I love aluminum. I think that is so interesting. So it is infinitely recyclable. And if plastic pollution isn't curbed, plastic will outweigh fish in the ocean by 2050. So it feels like it's kind of an urgent time to be making, obviously. This is not our soapbox. This is not what the show's about, but it should be in the back of everyone's minds, right?
We're going to be eating filet of bottles. Who wants that?
So people are attracted to the convenience of portable water, and plastic is undeniably bad for the environment. So what is the solution?
Wasn't there a company, and you didn't research this, so I don't expect you to know, but there was a time where there was a company that was making water in like milk cartons.
I didn't like that idea.
It's
called boxed water. I feel like it tastes like milk. I don't know why I thought it would taste like milk.
You don't know why drinking out of a milk carton you were subliminally thinking that you were drinking milk? Maybe you should go get a couple bottles of Smart Water. Yeah, I didn't love it either, but I love that someone was trying something new.
Yeah.
So now I understand why this water you've given me is in an aluminum can.
And so have you been drinking the Rest in Peach iced tea? What do you think? As we're sipping on it.
You know, it's fine. No, it's fine. Like, I would get this before I would get a LaCroix.
Okay.
I don't like things that are just like, it's like they just smell like the thing they say they are.
Crack open to the melon one, because that's a closer approximate to a LaCroix, because that is like a flavored seltzer. It has a small amount of agave. I don't like when everything is stevia and monk fruit now, and I don't like those. I would rather have some sugar than have like an artificial sweetener. And so it's like lightly sweetened with agave.
Yeah, that one's good.
So if people are transitioning off soda, and there are so many people online, by the way, before I get into the whole history, because it is very fun, there are so many people online that say they cut out soda entirely because of these drinks. And they're like, my kid who was addicted to soda, we switched over to these. Everybody's so much healthier. They've lost a lot of weight, whatever. There's so many health benefits to drinking one of these instead of soda. And for whatever reason, psychologically, the way the can looks, the size of it, the flavor, people are making healthier lifestyle changes thanks to this company.
It does look like a giant beer.
It does, and that's by design. Are you ready to hear a little bit about liquid death?
No, I feel like I've gotten
Should we
enough
go
out of this
home?
episode. But I appreciate that you did the research.
This is a real learny one. Well, I am working on what should I win? A Peabody or a Pulitzer?
I don't know. I have an Emmy, so I'm good.
You don't want to be an EGOP?
An EGOP.
What would be
Peabody.
Easier for you to win, a Peabody or a Tony?
On Brand the Musical. I mean,
Okay.
I do think that is something that we could pull together.
Score by Adele.
Oh, I love it. So yeah, let's jump into Liquid Death. Just so my initial thoughts, I'm looking at this Liquid Death can. They definitely have a whole branding thing going on. Their slogan is "Murder Your Thirst." There's a very drippy skull on the front. It's got like a very specific font that looks like I don't know, like a heavy metal band kind of thing. The names of their sodas, Convicted Melon and Rest in Peach. Like, for something that's trying to do so good, I'm so curious to know the juxtaposition between the branding of like hardcore metal bitch or whatever.
You would call this branding as
hardcore metal bitch. Yeah, bitch. Look at it.
Wow, you have like 2 sips of Liquid Death and you're already turned into a hardcore metal bitch.
I'm sweating, man. It's like one of the Guinness episode.
So this guy, Mike Cesario, he's 40, and he grew up in the punk music scene in California, playing in bands. So that is what you're intuiting from the design. That is his background. He's like skateboard, he's punk rock, he's in some bands. He even gets some offers from music labels to like put out an album. But while he loves playing music, he also loves like art design. He's very passionate about water. He loves art design. He designs all like the graphics for his bands, like posters and stuff like that. So that's what pursues his education. So he goes to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, studying graphic design and advertising. So he has a great career in advertising. He works on like Netflix shows. He does a lot of like cool campaigns. In 2009, he was backstage with a friend at the Warped Tour. Are you familiar with the Warped Tour?
I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
A punk music festival.
Yeah.
He noticed that the event sponsor was Monster Energy drinks. And there were tons of cases of Monster Energy drinks. The branding behind the band's performing was all Monster. For the artists to drink on stage, they had a bunch of Monster. But the artists did not drink Monster. They drank water out of a Monster Energy drink can.
Classic.
Because they had their sponsorship obligations, but also they didn't want to be drinking energy drinks all day long. I personally don't like the taste of Monster Energy drinks. A lot of these, just because somebody's like a punk rock artist doesn't mean they're going to like love the taste of Monster. So really what people are wanting to drink when they're playing a music festival is they want to be drinking water.
Yeah.
So that was kind of their little secret. He thought that was like a little sneaky. Like why are they embarrassed to be drinking water on stage? Like water was maybe seen as like a little dorky to be drinking. Like even if you were in the audience of like a punk rock show, you didn't want to be seen with like a bottle of water that felt a little lame maybe.
I say get a red cup and then we don't know what you're drinking.
That's kind of on the same tip. Like keep it mysterious.
Yeah.
So he thought this just kind of got his wheels turning because he works in advertising and branding marketing, as we do too. Mm-hmm. He was wondering, why aren't there more healthy products that have cool, funny, irreverent branding? So he's saying the brands with like the really bold, funny campaigns are like Bud Light, Snickers, Doritos, Red Bull, and they're all junk food. And that made me think too. I'm like, man, has like Kashi ever like cracked me up?
That's true. Snickers had great commercials.
They have great commercials. So these health food brands, like typically they take themselves very seriously. So their marketing will be very serious. It's about how like healthy it is, like green, it's like pure. And health benefits aren't just for like pure people. They're for like, punk bitches like you.
I'm a punk bitch.
So meanwhile, while he has that idea that's kind of ruminating in the back of his mind, he's working at ad agencies. He's getting a lot of inspiration from these huge brands. And one of those brands was Virgin Airlines and Richard Branson's strategy of finding a really stale, boring category of products and be the one really cool, exciting product in it. I thought that was really interesting. And you kind of do see that. Like, even like Dyson is like that. It's like vacuums are boring. This one is like colorful and designed really well and kind of like has like a cult following. So like I feel like that would kind of be a good, if we wanted to invent something, find like a really boring category and then subvert it. Like Scrub Daddy.
Yeah.
We got to do that. We got to think of something.
Isn't Scrub Daddy what already did it to like the sponge industry?
Yeah, so we need to think of something
That's
like that.
Called,
we need to find a genre to disrupt. What could we pick?
So Method disrupted the like
Hand
soap industry. What could we disrupt? I keep seeing headlines that some companies disrupting the nursing home industry, and I'm like, what are they doing? I never click on it, but I'm curious to what they're doing.
I don't think you should disrupt the old people.
Maybe if any of the listeners have an idea of a category we should disrupt, let us know.
I'm really interested in getting into the disruptor market.
Yeah.
So he's having success. He's creating brands for these other companies, but he's not totally creatively fulfilled. He wants to create his own company where he can control every aspect of the marketing. So he revisited this old idea he had from years earlier that always stuck with him, and that was canned water. And that idea was from that original time at the Warped Tour, seeing people drink water out of energy drink cans.
Can I disrupt
for a second?
Of course,
disrupt the conversation. That's what we're all about.
Fun fact about me.
Mm-hmm.
years and years and years ago, before they made like the little like Crystal Light flavored powder things that you put in your water bottle, I invented that. I've invented 2 beverages that didn't come to fruition.
Interesting. Share more.
First, when we were young, we had tea bags. And I remember going to my mom and dad and saying, I'm totally confused right now. We have tea bags. Why don't we have coffee bags? Let's make coffee bags. We didn't. I think they eventually came out. Now they're those pods, billion-dollar industry.
I don't think those are coffee bags, though. You're saying it's like in a bag.
Yeah, but I think they would have turned into the pods eventually over the last 30 years.
I think there's still room to disrupt there. What's your other beverage you invented?
Okay, this one's quite embarrassing. This was when I was drinking bottled waters. You would have bottled waters, and I was like, what would be great? Like, you can buy Crystal Light, but they came in like larger tubs back then to make like giant like pitchers. I was like, they should make a small amount that you can just put in these water bottles that's pre-measured to go in there.
Yes.
It's like, that's such a brilliant idea. And then I was like, the only the only obstacle that I can't get over is you would have to make like a little funnel in order to get them into the bottle. And I was like, that seems really cost prohibitive. And then I just set the idea aside, not realizing it could just be like a sugar packet and you could just pour it in.
That's really funny. So you're like, okay, so what's the cost to produce a tiny funnel that has to come with each pack? Do we give them a new funnel every time, or do we just expect them to not lose it?
Really, I really did.
I invented the shake and pour Bisquick.
You did? I've used that.
I invented that when I was about 12.
Oh my God. It was great. And it's harder to find. I feel like I looked for it kind of recently. Maybe you can only buy it in larger sizes. I'm a bachelor, so you used to be able to get it in smaller sizes.
A single portion of shake and pour Bisquick.
Yeah. I only need to make like 4 pancakes. I don't need batter for like 15.
I feel like it's 4 if you're making pancakes for a lot of people.
Oh. Well, the first one's always the dud. Usually the first one gets tossed because it soaks up all the oil. Okay. That's twice with the yeahs today.
I stand by it.
A lot of people toss the first pancake, I think.
That's true. I made pancakes today. I had to throw the first one out. My mom famously invented the mocha.
I know. I'm aware of this.
She put hot cocoa mix into coffee in the 70s. People thought she was a fool. Starbucks comes along a few decades later, and they're raking it in. Geniuses.
Your dad invented the Walkman.
The Walkman, yeah.
It was very cumbersome. It was like a giant stereo system that he carried around in a backpack.
It was a backpack, yeah. I come from a long line, too, of inventors.
And I think I'm the first inventor in my family. All right, so I disrupted you. You were talking about...
We welcome disruption. So the bottled water market, it's historically, I'm sure you know this, impossible to break into. There's so much competition for that very prestigious shelf space on the grocery store.
I know that because of Shark Tank. They're always like, it's a hard food is a hard category to break into.
And water bottle is especially a hard category. The industry is valued at $350 billion. So the only chance he could even have to survive is to have a product so interesting that if somebody passes it by on the shelf between other bottled waters, they would be so curious they would have to pick it up. And I think that's true.
They're like, who accidentally put this punk rock bitch can in the water section?
I mean, it's funny. I know that this is water. And I went down to the liquor store to buy some today for us to drink. And I started in the beer and energy drink section. I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the liquid death? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's water. And I went over to the water section. And now I'm seeing people knock this off, these tall boy cans.
I believe it.
But yeah, it definitely stands out next to a disgusting Dasani or an atrocious Aquafina.
Well, I do appreciate the size because I like to drink a lot of beverage.
Yeah, you're a thirsty boy.
Yeah, so I do enjoy the size. And I got to say, I'm really enjoying this Rest in Peach.
Oh, fun.
More than I am the Convicted Melon.
Okay, great.
It kind of reminds me of, did you ever get like Clearly Canadians?
Yes.
I loved Clearly Canadians.
Me too.
New York seltzers, and but those bottles were too tiny, but they had that fun like styrofoam label.
Oh yes, those were very sweet. It was kind of like, these are water, this is hydrating, and then it was like 80 grams of sugar in like 8 ounces.
Right. It's like how I tell myself sun chips are healthy for you because it has the word sun in it.
That's right. You're in Subway and you're looking at your chips. You're like, I want a healthier option today. Harvest cheddar,
sun chips,
fresh from the farm. So this was very clever. Before he even had a product, before a single can went into production, he made a Facebook page for Liquid Death. He did a 3D rendering of the can. He had a concept for this video. He spent $1,500 on production and a few hundred for social media promotion. 4 months in, the video had 3 million views. The Facebook page had 80,000 followers, hundreds of messages. Where can I buy this? It's wild. It blew up before anybody even knew what it tasted like. And the early flavors, it wasn't even like Reston Peach Iced Tea or flavored seltzer. It was literally flat water or sparkling water.
Wow. Just plain?
Plain.
Oh my
Plain.
gosh.
So then that was like his proof of concept. He was able to raise $150,000 in initial funding. He got a water supplier. He did a small run of products to sell exclusively online. So how much would you want a can of water, plain water, that you put in your credit card information on a website and wait for it to come to your house?
Listen, I know you don't have the clutchers mentality. What year was this?
This was 2018.
Yeah. So, I mean, with limited edition web drops, man, like you can really get things hyped.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun.
I guess so.
I've bought limited edition Cokes on the Coke website before.
You have?
Yeah.
Wait, which editions?
When we were in Hawaii, I was embarrassed. I like went to my bedroom and bought it because it was like dropped.
We had like come in from snorkeling and you were like, I'm going to lay down for a bit. And then you go to Cokes.com on your laptop.
I did, and the internet was bad, and I was so frustrated. I was like, I've got to get... They were re-releasing new Coke in conjunction as a time... Are you about to take a heavy breath?
No.
You sucked in a lot of air, and it seemed like you were going to make a heavy sigh.
No. Just breathing normal.
It was a tie-in with Stranger Things.
Oh, boy.
Which, you know, that's embarrassing. But they were releasing new Coke, which is of a branding story. I mean, shows like us, I think we're the only show, exist like this.
Shows like us.
Because of things like that.
Did you
One
drink
of the largest, either most genius branding things in the world or largest branding blunders in the world. I had to get 2 cans of new Coke, and you know
Hazinga.
That was a
New
Coca-Cola
Coke.
Hazinga. Or Brilliant.
Yeah, depending how you look at it.
No one will ever know for sure.
Did you drink the new Coke?
I knew you were going to ask. I didn't. They're in storage. And they've probably gotten hot and popped.
Bloated, popped cans, spilling all over your swatches.
God, I hate myself. No, I don't.
We love you. They had $100,000 in sales in the first month. That's not nothing if you're just selling a can of water. So I think this is a very impressive for us who love a brand, love a marketing strategy. I find this so interesting. They got an offer from Whole Foods to be nationally in every store. So this is when now it's like off to the races. He said one of the most surprising things is how wide the market is for this can. So there's, as I said, moms of teenagers who like their kids only drink soda. They're like, now my kids are drinking soda. He says blue collar workers who maybe they would get 2 energy drinks before going off to work. Now maybe they'll get like 1 energy drink and 1 water. So the branding does look very like, it's intentionally funny. It's like meant to be silly and like in your face. But his mission is to promote healthy products. He says people who maybe this branding appeals to them don't maybe typically make like healthy beverage choices. And now they're motivated to be a part of this healthy brand, originally for the fun marketing, but then it becomes a habit and it's a part of their lifestyle. And for every can that someone's drinking of this instead of a regular bottled water, infinitely recyclable. So there's like such a great environmental reason too to drink this.
I was reading through the ingredients, hoping I was going to find something to be like, haha, this isn't healthy, but a lot of it does seem like it is. But there's a couple words that I don't know what they are, but I assume they're healthy.
I think he's very motivated, yeah. And like to have the water, where the water comes from, be the most like environmentally least impactful possible. So like everything is on his radar. It's not just like greenwashing, a term we've used before, where like something is made to like look healthy and all natural, but it's not. This is made to look not healthy, but it actually is, and not look environmentally friendly, but it actually is. One of the things he said, like that he still uses as like a brainstorming tool is he does this thing with his employees where they'll say, what is the stupidest idea possible? And he said, what's like the stupidest name for a water company? The healthiest thing you could drink, the most like important, nutritious beverage, water. What's the stupidest thing you could call it? Liquid death. And that makes it stand out in the sea of Aquafinas and Dasanis. So he's a disruptor in the truest degree.
I like this guy. This guy's fun.
Yeah, this guy's
for
cool.
a brand I know very little about. It's a lot of interesting information.
It is,
and
yeah.
it's a good product.
I find the tea to be quite yummy.
Does he give money to anything good?
He does, yeah. And it even says on the can, there's a QR code. We donate a portion of the profits from every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. So if you go to their website, they have a lot of information about like all their environmental causes. So he definitely walks the walk. And people say like this helps them if people are in recovery from alcoholism. This is something they drink exclusively, and it's helping a lot of people who cut sugar cravings and kick some bad habits. So it's very impressive. This will be a really fun role for Matt Damon to play. He'll need some black hair dye. Do you think he can do that? Play a guy with black hair dye?
For Liquid Death the movie?
Yeah, Liquid Death the
I
movie.
would love to see that, yeah. Matt Damon is Liquid Death. As I drink a Diet Coke in between drinks of Liquid Death.
So his whole thing is just making fun of what he calls shitty corporate marketing that everybody hates. So it's like, advertising should be fun. It should be entertaining. They have so many like fun commercials with like a lot of celebrity guests. There's like cameo, like he did a commercial with Martha Stewart. He did one with like a porn star. He wants like to create, he says they want to be an entertainment company that also is a water company.
Yeah.
If you have some time to kill, check out their commercials. They're very entertaining.
I love anything that Martha Stewart stands behind.
Absolutely.
I trust her implicitly.
I trust her with my life. So now they have this wide range of flavors. It's not just plain water anymore. They have their seltzer. They have an electrolyte drink mix. This is a fun thing that they did. They get like trolled. You know what trolling is on the internet, right? You've heard of this term, trolling?
I'm an older gentleman, and I don't know young slang.
So they get a lot of hate comments from like internet trolls, and normally like this is them doing the opposite of what a regular brand would do. Most brands, they try to like hide the comments, like hate comments on their social media posts. They made an album, a metal album, featuring 10 what they call sassy songs based on the hate comments the brand received. Song titles are "This is Very Demonic," "Worst Name for a Water Company," "There's Not Even Alcohol in It." The 3 Liquid Death albums have amassed over 800,000 streams on Spotify. So this is like they're redefining what a company can be. They have over 6 million viewers, fans on TikTok and Instagram.
Followers.
Followers.
The lady who just asked me if I know what trolling means.
And now they have a $1.4 billion valuation, and they make up 10% of the entire $13 billion low and no alcohol beverage industry. So I think
10%?
10%. I think Liquid Death is here to stay. And it's funny that you like just I didn't really know what this was until I was at my mom's house, and because my sister drinks it, and you had just barely come across it. I feel like if you're in this scene, or if you have like teenage boys, or you're any part of, we're not part of skater culture, I'll venture to say. This isn't on our radar as much. But for people in the know, this is the number one drink to be drinking at a punk show.
Got it. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Next time I'm hanging out at the skate park.
And you want to blend in with the kids?
Yeah. Hey, kids.
Roll up with a backpack of these, see if anybody wants one.
A backpack with a stereo in it. That's my Walkman.
No one will call the police.
What's up, kids?
What's up, kids?
Liquid Death, anyone?
So yeah, that's it for Liquid Death. This is a brand with a mission, and I stand behind it. It's also quite yummy.
I love it. I'm glad you've introduced me to a new drink. What's the price point we're looking at here? Let me guess. So 19.2 ounces. You went to the liquor store to buy it, so it's probably a little bit of premium. I'm going to say each can was $2.79.
You know, I think it was in the $3 range.
Yeah.
It was over $6 total. But to me, that's pretty reasonable for a flavored tea.
Is that why you didn't bring Alistair any? I always try to include him when we do like a taste test.
Yeah, I guess I should have. I thought about pouring some out into a can, but then I was also like, to me, the experience of drinking it out of I feel like in a glass, it wouldn't translate.
So thirsty.
Alistair just whispered how he can barely talk because he's so thirsty because
He's so
Marissa
parched.
did not bring him.
I see Al as like not indulging in any pleasures of the flesh.
Oh my God. After watching how like he ate 1 grain of sugar from each peep I gave him, I'm no longer. And did you drink the Guinness I brought? The foam. He had a little foam.
He licked the foam.
Maybe we won't give Alistair samples. Well, that's fun. I love being surprised by a brand that you pick. This is a really fun one. I never would have guessed this one in a million years.
Yeah, me either. This is something, as I said, so not on my radar, but this is a huge brand right now.
And
huge.
I bet, I'm going to go out on a
the
limb
kids.
here and assume that our fan base is maybe 1% skaters. So I would assume 99% of our listeners is also learning about this brand for the first time.
They might have a 13-year-old son.
They might.
Who knows how to ollie. If your son skateboards and drinks Liquid Death, write to us. Or if you've ever had this, you're a fan of this drink, we would love to hear from you guys. I'm curious what the brand freaks. Oh, someone suggested Brandy's as a cute nickname too for the fans.
Oh, yeah. We got a message on Instagram from Handcrafted Razors who was telling us they loved our show and it was very complimentary. They said they had one brand aid for us. They thought maybe instead of calling our fans brand freaks, we call them brandies.
That works if we're in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Mix
mind
it up.
brandies at all. Some people might like being called a freak. Maybe it's like the one naughty thing in their life. So they're like, no, I'm a good boy, but secretly I am a freak.
Every now and then when I'm driving and listening to my podcast, I like to get a little freaky.
I got a little freaky. Maybe we'll do a poll on Instagram. Do you like brand freak or brandies?
And speaking of the brand freaks, you put out a desperate plea last week.
Yes.
For some new reviews.
Which came in. We got several new, very lovely reviews from people all over the country. But what I found odd about it is our number kept going from 4.8 positive reviews to 4.7. I don't know if this is an issue with Apple and how they do the addition, or if we have someone sabotaging us and trying to keep our number at 4.7. So all I can do is to ask to keep sending 5-star reviews, even if you don't write anything, though we would really appreciate it if you do. Tap that 5-star.
If there is a saboteur among us, we will find you.
We will find you.
And
this is on Apple Podcasts,
yes.
Just so you know. That's where we look at the review numbers.
And for everybody who heeded the call, your desperate plea to write us a lovely review, we want to give you a personal shout out. So this is something we're going to do at the end of the episode. If you leave a review, we will give you a shout out by name. If you want to be addressed something else, just sign your review. We want to give a shout out to Hi, I'm Lisa, Pony Miller, KRMC4, Mel 16H, Silo B, Eric W in Columbus. Hey, it's Lexi, Kitty Flare AK, Danny, CL123455. And that's it. So if you want to join the ranks of these loyal brandies, write us a lovely review and we will say your name or pseudonym live on the air.
Everybody loves to hear their name on the
radio.
The radio, on your phone, wherever you listen to podcasts. Gather your loved ones around and don't tell them. Write us a 5-star review. Get your whole family together and act surprised at the end of the show when we
wake
give you a
your
shout
children from their slumber. Gather them around the phonograph to listen to your name on the radio. And with that, we will close out the show. If you like the show, as we mentioned, please subscribe, rate, and review. Check us out on Instagram at OnBrandThePod or at OnBrandThePodcast on TikTok. And you can see clips from the show, supplemental content, and write to us from there. We love to hear from you guys. If you have a brand you want us to talk about or any thoughts on Liquid Death, please share them with us. Have you tried Rest in Peach? Do you like it as much as Jon does?
It is very refreshing.
There you go. All right, we will be back next week with an all-new episode of On Brand.
And we may go off topic, but we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Bye.